Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Anita Anand bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines: India to become a developed country by 2047 with joint efforts of people, asserts Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman reviews performance and preparedness of public sector banks amid stress in global banking system. Second G20 Framework Working Group meeting under India's presidency concludes in Chennai. France bans use of mobile apps TikTok, Twitter and Instagram on official phones. At least 23 people killed as powerful tornado and storms hit Mississippi in the United States. Indian pugilists Neetu Ghangas and Sweetie Bura clinched gold medals at Women's World Boxing Championships in New Delhi. And in badminton, Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty enters finals of Swiss Open. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi called upon people to contribute towards making the country a developed nation by 2047. Mr. Modi was speaking after inaugurating Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research in Karnataka on Saturday. Established by Sri Satya Sai University for Human Excellence, the institute will provide free medical education and offer free medical treatment to the poor.
आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में देश ने विकसित होने का संकल्प लिया है, क्योंकि मैंने कहा है 2047 जब आजादी के 100 साल होंगे तो लोग पूछते हैं कि इतने कम समय में भारत विकसित कैसे बनेगा। इतनी चुनौतियां हैं। इस सवाल का एक ही जवाब है, सशक्त जवाब है, सिद्धियां प्राप्त होने की ताकत वाला जवाब है, और वो जवाब है सबका प्रयास। देशवासी के साझा प्रयासों से ये संभव होकर के ही रहेगा।
The Prime Minister highlighted the service deliveries and good governance model of the double-engine governments in the centre and the state. He said the medical infrastructure in the country has improved. Medical colleges have increased from 380 to 650, and 40 among them are in the aspirational districts that are backward in various parameters.
साल 2014 में हमारे देश में 380 से भी कम मेडिकल कॉलेज थे, लेकिन आज देश में मेडिकल कॉलेजों की संख्या बढ़कर के 650 से भी अधिक हो गई है। इनमें से 40 मेडिकल कॉलेज एस्पिरेशनल डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में बने हैं, जो जिले विकास के हर पहलू में पीछे थे, वहां पर मेडिकल कॉलेज बने हैं।
Earlier in the day, Mr. Modi inaugurated a new metro line covering 13.71 kilometers built at a cost of around 4,250 crore rupees. Finance Minister of India Nirmala Sitharaman on Saturday chaired a meeting to review the performance and preparedness of the public sector banks, PSBs. The review was based on various financial health parameters and the resilience of PSBs in light of the current global financial scenario emanating from the failure of some international banks in the USA and Europe. During the meeting, Ms. Sitharaman emphasized on the preparedness along with due diligence through adherence to the regulatory framework by focusing on risk management, diversification of deposits and asset base. She underlined that the PSBs must look at the business models closely to identify stress points, including concentration risks and adverse exposures. The Indian Finance Minister has urged the PSBs to use this opportunity to frame detailed crisis management and communication strategies. Ms. Sitharaman also advised the PSBs to aim at increasing brick-and-mortar banking presence in border and coastal areas. Moving on to our segment G20 in India, here is a desk report.
The second G20 Framework Working Group meeting under India's presidency concluded in Chennai on Saturday. The two-day meeting was co-chaired by India's Chief Economic Advisor V. Ananth Nageshwaran and UK's Chief Economic Advisor Claire Lombardelli. Around 87 delegates from G20 member countries, invitees and international organizations attended the meeting. The Framework Working Group focuses on global macroeconomic issues and deliberates on enhancing policy cooperation to achieve strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. The agenda for the meeting involved discussions on the global economic outlook and risks, with a particular emphasis placed on inflation, macroeconomic implications of food and energy insecurity, climate change and transition policies. During the discussion, members discussed and agreed on the way forward for important deliverables for the year, including those on macroeconomic consequences of food and energy insecurity and climate changes and transition pathways. The discussion on the global economic outlook and risks emphasized the need to continue efforts to manage global inflation and remain vigilant to emerging financial risks. Members also deliberated on how food and energy prices remain elevated in many economies, disproportionately affecting vulnerable countries. The discussion also highlighted the difficult trade-offs countries face as they balance short-term energy security with long-term structural reforms for the transition to cleaner energy, ensuring the availability and accessibility of critical minerals to facilitate a smoother transition, as well as generating domestic savings to meet investment needs and thus boost economic growth for the transition, were also issues that came up for discussion. On the sidelines of the Framework Working Group meeting, a panel discussion on the macroeconomic impacts of climate change and transition pathways was also organized in collaboration with UAE, which will be the presidency of COP28. An outreach program with IIT Chennai and Madras School of Economics was also held in the run-up to the meeting. The chief economic advisor interacted with students and researchers on India and the world economy, mainly focusing on India's G20 presidency. Meanwhile, the second G20 Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting will be held at Gandhinagar in Gujarat from 27th of this month. The three-day meeting is being hosted by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in collaboration with the Ministry of Jal Shakti. Addressing media in New Delhi, Special Secretary, Department of Water Resources, Debashree Mukherjee said the second working group meeting focuses on water and the issues of water resources management.
Second Environment and Climate Sustainability Working Group meeting will be held in Ahmedabad from the 27th to the 29th of March. Environment is a major theme for the G20 deliberations, and it is also a major area of concern. The second group meeting focuses on water and issues of water management. We had asked all the representatives of G20 countries to share best practices on water management. We've got response from 18 countries, and we have already compiled those best practices.
Ms. Mukherjee said the meeting also provides an opportunity to India to showcase its traditional water management practices as well as technical capabilities in terms of designing and implementing mega water projects.
India's work on achieving Jal Jeevan Mission and the Swachh Bharat Mission, universalization of access to drinking water and sanitation. We will talk about groundwater management, which is essential to sustain the efforts that we have made to universalize services. Then we will talk about climate resilient water infrastructure. India is implementing one of the largest dam rehabilitation programs in the world, and this is India's commitment to ensuring that our important water infrastructure is climate ready.
Swati Rakheja for World News.
Indian Home Minister Amit Shah has said that the fight against Maoists in Chhattisgarh's Bastar region is now in the final stage of victory. He said CRPF has played an important role in reducing the influence of Maoists. The Indian minister was speaking at the 84th Raising Day celebration of Central Reserve Police Force CRPF at Jagdalpur, the headquarters of Bastar Division in Chhattisgarh, on Saturday. He said that CRPF Jawans risked their lives to bring development to tribals. During the event, Mr. Shah virtually launched the weekly news bulletin in Halbi dialect to be broadcast by All India Radio. Appreciating the efforts of All India Radio, Mr. Shah said that this not only strengthens local language but also serves news to people of Bastar in their own language. The 15-minute long weekly news bulletin will be broadcast from All India Radio, Jagdalpur Kendra, every Sunday at 7:30 a.m. Chief Executive Officer of Prasar Bharati, Gaurav Dwivedi, was also present on the occasion. While talking to media, he said that local languages and dialects prove to be most effective in providing news and other information to people in remote rural areas. In the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, security forces have arrested 2 terrorist associates linked with the proscribed terror outfit Lashkar-e-Taiba in Sumlar area of Bandipora district. Incriminating material and 2 Chinese grenades were also recovered from their possession. A case under relevant sections of law has been registered at Bandipora police station and further investigation has been initiated. Railways Minister of India Ashwini Vaishnav has said the Udhampur-Srinagar-Baramulla railway line project in Jammu and Kashmir will be completed by early next year. He was talking to media persons at Srinagar railway station at Naugam on Saturday. The minister maintained that after connecting with Udhampur, Srinagar and Baramulla with train services, a specially built Vande Bharat train will be introduced on the rail section. The minister visited Budgaon railway station and inquired about various procedures related to the maintenance of trains. Mr. Vaishnav also undertook a journey from Budgaon railway station to Baramulla railway station by special inspection car. He made a detailed overview of the safety and security of the railway section and took stock of the passenger amenities at Baramulla railway station. Government of Indian state of Manipur has deployed additional security forces along the Indo-Myanmar border. The decision has been taken following reports of clashes between the Myanmar army and the resistant group People's Defence Force on the Myanmar side near the border for the last few days. Talking to media, Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh said 24/7 food patrolling has been intensified along with the deployment of additional forces of IRB, police and other security personnel along the border areas to avoid untoward incidents. He said no reports have been received of crossing over of Myanmar citizens to Manipur due to the clash. In Manipur, the disturbed area status under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act 1958 has been lifted from the jurisdiction of 4 more police stations. State Chief Minister N. Biren Singh thanked Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah for acknowledging the sentiments of the public of Manipur and bringing peace and normalcy to the state. The new 4 police stations from where the disturbed area status has been lifted are Nambol, Lekhama Khong, Moirong and Wangkoi police stations. Earlier, the government had lifted the status from the jurisdiction of 15 police stations. With the new decision, the status is no more implemented in altogether 19 police stations of Manipur. Speaking to media persons this evening, Mr. Biren said under the guidance of Prime Minister and Union Home Minister of Manipur has witnessed progress in several areas. Many unlawful insurgency groups and cadres have joined mainstream society. He added, therefore, the government has been able to lift the disturbed area status from the jurisdiction of more police stations. The government of India had asked the states and union territories to keep a close watch on the evolving causes of diseases including COVID-19, influenza-like illness, ILI, and severe acute respiratory illness, SARI, in the country. In an advisory, the Health Ministry said that COVID-19 and influenza share a number of similarities in terms of mode of transmission, high-risk population, clinical signs and symptoms. It said these diseases can be prevented by following simple public health measures, including avoiding overcrowded and poorly ventilated settings, using handkerchiefs and tissue while sneezing or coughing, wearing a mask in crowded and closed settings, maintaining hand hygiene, and avoiding spitting in public places. The ministry also stressed raising community awareness regarding adherence to respiratory and hand hygiene to limit the transmission of these diseases. Indian Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya has said that the country is ready to lead from the front and become the voice of the Global South in the collaborative fight against tuberculosis TB. Dr. Mandaviya was addressing the 36th board meeting of the Stop TB Partnership in New Delhi today. The Health Minister stated that India has identified 3 important health priorities under the G20 presidency, and all of these are focused on universal health coverage and relevant to our response for TB elimination. In today's Hotspots section, we bring you a news commentary on India's commitment to eradicate TB by 2025.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, during the visit to his parliamentary constituency Varanasi, addressed the One World TB Summit at Rudraksh Convention Centre on the occasion of World Tuberculosis Day. The summit was organized by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and Stop TB Partnership. Founded in 2001, the Stop TB Partnership is a United Nations-hosted organization that amplifies the voices of the people, communities and countries affected by TB. The Prime Minister also launched various initiatives, including the TB Mukt Panchayat initiative, the official Pan-India rollout of a shorter TB preventive treatment, family-centric care model for TB, and release of India's annual TB report 2023. He also awarded select states and UTs and districts for their progress towards ending TB. Addressing the summit, Mr. Modi said Kashi has been evident of the fact that no matter how big a challenge, there is always a way out to deal with it. In the past few years, India in its fight against TB has worked on multiple fronts such as people's participation, treatment innovation, tech integration, enhancing nutrition and others. India has done a great job in the fight against TB through people's participation. The Prime Minister said the new thinking and approach with which India began working against TB since 2014 is truly unprecedented. India's efforts should also be known to the whole world because it is a new model of the global fight against TB. Mr. Modi said it is a matter of happiness that this summit is happening in Kashi. Some time ago, India also took the initiative to take forward the vision of One Earth, One Health, and now through One World TB Summit, India is fulfilling another resolution of global good, he said. The Prime Minister emphasized that India has worked on many fronts in the fight against TB in the last 9 years. He mentioned government campaigns like Fit India, Khelo India and yoga promoting public participation, special campaigns for nutrition, use of technology in promoting good health. India's robust pharma industry is a big strength to the world's fight against TB. He wished that fruits of each and every endeavour of India, campaign of India, innovation of India reach the whole world. India is committed towards the global good, Mr. Modi remarked. The Prime Minister reiterated that 2030 is the global target to eradicate TB, but India is now working on the target of ending TB by the year 2025. The Nikshay Mitra initiative has greatly helped in the fight against the challenge of TB. The challenge has been nourishment of the TB patients, the nutrition of TB patients. Keeping this in view, we had announced the direct benefit transfer for the TB patients in 2018, Prime Minister Modi said. A resolution was taken by the World Health Organization in 2018 to make the world TB-free by 2030. In this connection, Prime Minister Modi took forward the resolution to make India TB-free by 2025. Today we are near it, said the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath. In March 2018, during the End TB Summit held in New Delhi, the Prime Minister called on India to achieve TB-related SDG targets by 2025, 5 years ahead of the stipulated time. One World TB Summit will provide an opportunity to further deliberate upon the targets as the country moves forward to meet its TB elimination objectives. International delegates from over 30 countries were present at the summit.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. Welcome back to World News. In the United States, at least 23 people were killed after a tornado and severe storms swept through the state of Mississippi last night. The Southern States Emergency Management Agency said at least 4 people were missing and dozens were injured, while tens of thousands of people in Mississippi, Alabama and Tennessee were without power. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves said the death toll is expected to rise further as search and rescue operations continue in Sharkey and Humphreys counties. The National Weather Service warned residents that as cleanup operations continue, dangers remain even after the storms move on. Last month, a series of tornadoes lashed the central U.S., leaving a trail of wreckage and injuries as winter storms caused extreme weather around the country. U.S. President Joe Biden has warned Iran that America would act forcefully to protect its citizens. President Biden's statement came after the U.S. military carried out airstrikes against Iran-backed forces in retaliation for an attack in Syria. NATO officials said that another U.S. service member was wounded yesterday in the latest tit-for-tat strike between Iran-backed forces and U.S. personnel in Syria. It comes on top of 7 casualties on Thursday, which Washington blamed on a drone of Iranian origin, and it included an American contractor being killed and 5 U.S. troops and another contractor being wounded. Intel co-founder and creator of Moore's Law, Gordon Moore, died at the age of 94 in Hawaii. Intel and the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation announced in a press release today. Gordon Moore was the driving force behind the development of modern computing devices. Mr. Moore began working on semiconductors in the 1950s and co-founded the Intel Corporation in 1968, which grew into the world's largest semiconductor maker at one point. Paying tribute to him, Google CEO Sundar Pichai in a tweet said Moore was an inspiration to him. His vision inspired many to pursue technology. Calling him a true visionary, Apple CEO Tim Cook said the world has lost a giant in Gordon Moore. France has announced that it is banning the recreational use of TikTok, Twitter, Instagram and other mobile applications on government employees' phones because of concerns about insufficient data security measures. The move follows similar restrictions on TikTok in democratic countries amid fears about the popular video sharing app's Chinese connections. However, the French decision also encompassed other platforms widely used by government officials, lawmakers and President Emmanuel Macron himself. The French Minister for Transformation and Public Administration, Stanislas Guerini, said in a statement that recreational apps aren't secure enough to be used in state administrative services and could present a risk to the protection of data. The ban will be monitored by France's cybersecurity agency. The statement said the decision came after other governments across the globe took measures targeting TikTok. Mr. Guerini's office said the ban will also include Twitter, Instagram, Netflix, gaming apps like Candy Crush, and dating apps. The US, Britain, the European Union and others have already banned TikTok on government phones. In Rwanda, Paul Rusesabagina, a former hotel manager portrayed as a hero in the Hollywood film Hotel Rwanda, has been released from prison. Rwandan court has sentenced him to 25 years for terrorism 2 years ago. A government spokesperson said that Rusesabagina's sentence had been commuted by presidential order. Mr. Rusesabagina, 68, is credited with saving around 1,200 people during the 1994 genocide. The U.S. President Joe Biden called the news of his release a happy outcome. Indian Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav said that Project Cheetah is in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's commitment to environmental protection and wildlife conservation. He said this project will lead to enhanced livelihood opportunities for the local communities through eco-development and eco-tourism activities. Mr. Yadav said this while chairing a meeting of the Consultative Committee of Parliament on Project Cheetah in New Delhi. Mr. Yadav expressed his gratitude for the steps taken by the Government of India for bringing the cheetah back to India and restoring its lost glory. He stated that the government is determined to conserve and protect wildlife and the environment with the active participation of all stakeholders. Millions of people around the world observed the annual Earth Hour on Saturday to raise awareness about the climate change. The Earth Hour event encourages individuals to turn off all lights and electrical appliances at their homes and offices for an hour to promote awareness about energy conservation. It is a global annual initiative of the Worldwide Fund for Nature. The day aims to increase awareness and spark global conversations on protecting nature, tackling the climate crisis, and working together to shape a brighter future for us all. In India, as part of the campaign, various important government buildings and historical monuments dimmed their lights from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. In the national capital, the lights were dimmed at Akshardham Temple. In Kolkata, lights at the iconic Howrah Bridge were turned off to conserve energy. Mumbai also contributed towards saving the electricity as the lights at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus were switched off. The movement of the Earth Hour began in 2007 in Australia. It has now become a global campaign wherein non-essential lights are turned off at 8:30 p.m. on a specific day towards the end of March. Prominent landmarks around the globe, including Sydney Opera House in Australia, New York's Empire State Building, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and Moscow's Red Square, observe the hour by going dark. And now here is a report from the world of sports.
India won 2 gold medals in World Women's Boxing Championship in New Delhi on Saturday. Sweetie Bura clinched the yellow medal by defeating her rival Lina Wong of China by 4-3 in the 81kg category. She became the 7th Indian boxer to win the world championship. Earlier, Neetu Gangas grabbed the gold in the 48kg category by overpowering Mongolia's Alpentsetseg Lutsai-Khan 5-0 via unanimous decision. In badminton, Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty cruised into the finals of Swiss Open on Saturday. The Indian duo defeated Malaysian combination of Ong Yu Sin and Teo Yi in the semi-final 21-19, 17-21, 21-17 at Basel. On Friday, the Indian pair overpowered Danish pair of Yep Bay and Lasse Molheed 21-15, 10-21, 15-21 in the quarterfinal. In Women's Premier League cricket, Mumbai Indians will face Delhi Capitals in the summit clash of the tournament in Mumbai tomorrow. Both the teams have recorded heavy wins against each other in the group stage and finished with identical 12 points, with only the net run rate separating them at the top of the table. Delhi Capitals stands at the top with 1.856, while Mumbai Indians with 1.711 hold the second spot. Going by their record at the Brabourne Stadium, Mumbai Indians have the upper hand, having won all 3 games so far, while Delhi Capitals have 2 wins and a loss at the venue. Reshma Tiwari from Sports Desk for World News.
And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Guardian writes Tanzania announces outbreak of deadly Marburg virus disease. The Washington Post reports Bolsonaro's return poses risks for the former president and Brazil. The New York Times writes Israel's army fears effect of judicial crisis on battlefield readiness. The Business Recorder writes PTI's Minare-Pakistan rally to break all records, Imran Khan. The Pratham Alo reports 45 shops, houses burnt in Bandarban fire. Wall Street Journal writes Biden, Trudeau tout jobs boost from clean energy chips manufacturing. The Globe and Mail report Mexico's top court freezes electoral reform ahead of lawsuit. Le Monde writes Tunisia criminalizes contacts with Western diplomats. The Financial Times writes top Democrats lash out at new wave of Republican climate denialism. South China Morning Post says China calls for tighter trade ties with New Zealand. The Japan Times reports Kishida next China envoy farewell meeting amid strained times. The Straits Times reports conflict in Syria escalates following attack that killed a U.S. contractor. CNN Business reports as banks aren't out of the woods yet, and neither is the economy. Sydney Morning Herald writes UN decries killing of Ukrainian-Russian POWs as strikes kills 10 civilians. New Age reports Rishi Sunak stresses democratic values in talks with Netanyahu. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. India to become a developed country by 2047 with joint efforts of people, asserts Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Indian Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman reviews performance and preparedness of public sector banks amid stress in global banking system. Second G20 Framework Working Group meeting under India's presidency concludes in Chennai. France bans use of mobile apps TikTok, Twitter and Instagram on official phones. At least 23 people killed as powerful tornado and storms hit Mississippi in the United States. Indian pugilists Neetu Gangas and Sweetie Bura clinched gold medals at Women's World Boxing Championships in New Delhi. And in badminton, Indian men's double pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty enters final of Swiss Open. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Greece.
तो तेने काहिए जे पीर पारागी जान रे पर दुखे उपकार करे तो ये मन अभिमान नान रे.
And with that we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.